We're recording. Yes, we'll get into everything that we are and we aren't doing here in just a minute. But first, what I'd like to do is welcome everybody into our Instant Customer Weekly webinar. This is webinar number 9, episode number 9. I'm sitting here. My name is Jean Scally, and I'm sitting here with Rick Dilliot. Rick, you want to say hello?
How's everybody doing? This is Rick. I know they're doing great. They're here. How could they be doing anything else?
Rick, want to tell us what Instant Customer is? Yeah,
that would be awesome. I usually think of Instant Customer as something that is very possibly the fastest, easiest way to build a list, sell books, products, services, make money, and build an intimate, authentic relationship with your prospects and customers, all on autopilot if you do it right.
Awesome. And you can get Instant Customer now if you happen to be watching this webinar either live or later on a recorded event. You can get it at instantcustomer.com/get secret. That's our top secret little spot where you can get Instant Customer, not published. That one's just for us. And who is Instant Customer for?
Instant Customer is really for anybody that has the intelligence to automate part of the, whatever part of their sales process they can. So that would be small business owners, authors, experts. Gene, who else?
Speakers, and something paused screen sharing.
Consultants.
Thank you.
And service professionals. Really, for anybody that realizes that traditional methods of marketing, old style yellow pages, things like that, are really expensive and really aren't as effective as they have been in the past. Building your own list, marketing to your own list, creating those relationships, continuing to build them over time is really the way to go.
I agree.
I know, you wrote it.
Here's what you're going to discover in this session. We're going to learn from the IC pros, that'd be Rick and I. We're going to talk about maximizing thank you pages. This is something that people just aren't really using right now, those thank you pages that you can do in Instant Customer. We're going to show you a few tricks and some insider secrets for using them and for getting better results using them. We'll take any questions you have, and Rick will deal out our special offers at the end of the webinar. We've got a new one this week, so stay tuned. And before we begin, I want you to know that this is being recorded, and you can catch the replay from your Instant Customer inbox. There's a little link in there that shows you the way to all of the previous webinars. I apologize, I forgot to put up last week's link, and I realized that about 1 minute ago. So I will do that immediately on finishing this webinar, so you'll have one immediately, and then you'll get another one in about a day or so for this one. If you have any questions during the webinar, please put your questions into the question box that's on your screen here. And Rick, do you want to tell people what makes a good question, or do you want me to?
I would love to, actually.
Go for it.
Wait one quick second. There we go. All right. What makes a good question is something that is topical, something that is what we're talking about right now, a complete question. Understand that your question may be taken out of order, it may not fit in exactly, or we may already have anticipated some of those. So we would definitely appreciate it if you write out the entire question, keep it topical to what we're talking about right now, and those that we can't get to, we will try to get to at the end, or try to get to you directly afterward.
Right, and I want to just address, somebody brought up a question right now that's pertinent to what we're talking about. Jim stated that he noticed the webinar recordings aren't being posted in the inbox. And actually, Jim, there's a link in the inbox that everybody sees that brings up a page with all of the webinar recordings on them. And Rick, do you have your inbox open there? Can you tell me what the subject of that email is, just so I can relay it to the group here?
Yeah.
The subject of that inbox message, yeah.
It's just called Q&A replay links. It says if you've missed an Instant Customer Q&A session, don't worry. You can catch the replays here, and there's just a link that goes to them.
Right, so check for that email or that message, and all of your links are there, and it should be in your Instant Customer inbox. And Cal, I hope this addresses your sound issue a little bit. Apparently I was sitting a bit too far from that very sensitive microphone we have here in the room. So that should take care of it.
I showed the links. They're updated through February 27th. So we may be one behind.
No, that's what I said. You weren't paying attention. But what I said just a moment ago was I realized a minute ago that I did not post last week's webinar. I had a technical issue when I was doing it, and then I just forgot to go back to it. So
okay, so we'll get
that done immediately after this one.
Yeah,
all right, moving on.
Great.
Like I said, moving on. Before we begin, if you want webinar updates, if you want to be notified when there's a class coming in, you can text your name and email to 858-208-0989. That's class reminders for this webinar only. 858-208-0989. Just text your name and email to that. If you're already on the list, already getting reminders, then don't bother. You're already there. And today's tip of the week. I know this, Rick, is one of your all-time favorites.
Yeah, this is definitely a favorite of mine because it really does illustrate the need to test pretty much everything you do before you're going to spend extra money, extra time, anything like that. And that is that you cannot text to toll-free numbers. That is just an inherent property of toll-free numbers. They are non-textable to, or however you want to put that. Toll-free numbers, really, you can only call into them. So it's one of those situations where we have seen people in the past, more than once, by the way, try to set up a campaign, even publicize the campaign with a toll-free number, and then use the directions, call or text. This is one of those places where you definitely cannot do that. The toll-free number is to access, that demographic that is not texting, and you want separate directions to go to them.
Right. So call a toll-free number, text. If you're using a local number, then text the local number.
Local long code or local short code.
Right. Awesome. Thanks for the tip. Ooh. Okay. This one's a big old mess. I forgot to format the slide.
Yeah, that's just it. I just want to listen to you talk.
Let me tell you about our hero of the week. Shelley Lee Edwards is our hero of the week, and let me tell you why. Shelley was having tacos one day with family, and the salsa container had a little QR code on it. She got curious, picked up her cell phone and scanned in the QR code, and noticed that it kind of just went to somebody's blah website. No information, nothing really exciting. And so she looked around on the website, found a contact us form, filled it in, and gave the guy a few better ideas for using his QR code. Long story short, 2 months later, she got a phone call from the owner of the company, said, clearly you know what you're doing, we need your help. So I put this on our Hero of the Week slide because I thought that was awesome. I had a similar incident that I didn't pursue.
Yeah, that's the one I wanted to follow as a follow-up to that.
Yeah, so a follow-up to that is I had a similar incident where I scanned a QR code on my cat food bag because, one, I love that cat food and I was really excited that they were going to do something with QR codes. I scanned it, and guess what I got?
You get cat food.
I got a coupon for a dog food, which my cat was not real thrilled about. So if you see an opportunity like that, Shelley Lee Edwards, thanks for pointing it out to everybody. If you see an opportunity like that, jump on it. You may end up with a job out of it.
Yeah, I think you can do this almost anywhere.
Yeah.
And in any group, talking to anyone, keeping your eyes open for what people are using and where it's going, how it's actually functioning, and being able to intelligently offer ways to improve it or just criticisms, if something's just flat out wrong.
Right.
It does immediately identify you as an expert, and you should be able to jump on top of those opportunities.
Yeah, and I'm going to add one more thing to that. I was at a trade show this past weekend, working my mojo, and somebody actually thanked me for the way I presented something to them, and I want to share that with this audience because I think it's important. I was talking to people about capturing leads, and at one booth where I was talking to people, they had a little fishbowl for a contest, and the way I presented it to the guy was, what you're doing here is great. I mean, you're collecting leads. That's the purpose of you being here. But I can help you ramp that up. I mean, what you're doing is awesome and nice and easy, but several things have to happen. And what they were doing is they were taking little contest tickets, those little ones that are usually red or blue, and people had to write their name and phone number on the back. A raffle ticket, exactly. Contest ticket was I thinking. And That was great. They were collecting leads, but what I said was, how about if I give you a way that would automate all that so you wouldn't have to take those tickets, figure out what somebody wrote on it, and you just have all the information like their name, their email address, and their number. And the man said to me, "Thank you so much for not telling me that what I was doing was wrong. Thank you for not saying that this is a total disaster. Thank you for acknowledging that I put something into it. I had some thought behind it and it was working, but there was a better way." And so, just on this whole calling somebody up or telling them there's something else that you can do, it's a really sensitive point to some people.
You're absolutely right. And both the things that you're pointing out, what Shelley Lee did and what you did, were both just very helpful and respectful, and and generated results off of that.
Right.
I think that's we talk a lot about respecting your client, respecting.
It builds trust.
Yeah,
it builds
really
rapport
does.
Because you haven't cut them down and you haven't told them, "Hey, Joe, small business owner, what you just did was bad."
Right.
What you did was you said, "Wow, that's a great first step."
That's what I wanted to say. That's
And let's make it better.
Exactly.
It's helping them, not
it's a good start.
cutting them down. It's an awesome start.
It's a good start, and then what you did was you pointed out where the pain was.
Yeah.
It's a good start, but the pain in doing it your way is you're going to have to do all this other stuff by hand.
Right.
I can help you automate that stuff.
And that's a really good point, because I don't think this was their first trade show. It was a big one. And I don't think that they were thinking what they had to do next. I think their thought was, let's get this trade show put together, and I have a million other pieces to put into play, and okay, let's throw this little glass jar down and have a contest. They weren't thinking like, oh my God, someone has to go through and read all those tickets, and we're not going to be able to read anybody's handwriting.
No, what they were thinking is, what does everybody else do?
Yeah.
They have a fishbowl. We got to have a fishbowl. Okay, great, but I think we're a couple decades ahead of what we can do.
We have a few comments that people's egos are fragile, and that's right. Especially the male species was the comment. That may be right too. So let's go on to the next slide. All right. So how to maximize your thank you pages. First, the basics. Why do you want to use a thank you page? Thank you pages are really good for two things. One, if you've registered somewhere, it's nice to know that your registration worked, that something actually happened. And that's the point really behind the thank you page. It's like, okay, you've registered, we've got you. But there are more advanced reasons for using it that we're going to go over in a few minutes here. But what I really want to show you first is I'm going to switch control over to Rick, and I'm going to let Rick show you how to set up a thank you page, just the basics. You ready, Rick?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm putting over to you. There you go.
3 questions.
So we should be all peering at Rick's screen right now. There it is.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah.
All right. So this is my instant customer homepage there, and just I'm going to go ahead and just show with the inbox what we were talking about with the Q&A replay links.
Good point.
I love showing the inbox because I think it is something we want to use more and more of as we develop the system, and these are perfect examples. So, all I have to do is click this, and you get this page that's got all the replay links in it. It's webinar replay. It's got a little, it's got the title on it. I think going forward, I'm going to try to also put in some of the other things that are covered, some of the tips of the week and stuff like that, so it's easy to go through. Another way you can sign up for the reminders is I put it on here just in case you didn't have that number, and I just hooked this up to our regular campaign that says, join Gene and Rick. So this is a really good example of using, the system within the system, but they are right there in the inbox and have been there. Like I said, we're just that one behind. What we're going to go look at today, though, is thank you options. So I always just go to my campaign list right up at the little shortcut bar up on the top. I'm going to go to my Easy Start campaign. If you haven't made campaigns, or if you're new at the templates, you can always go to Build It and the template gallery, and that Easy Start template is the easiest one to use, get you up and running in no time. I definitely recommend you use that if you haven't used any templates before. That's the place to start. So how do I get to my thank you page options? Here's my regular little dashboard here. I'm going to edit my campaign, which is where a lot of these options are. And in this case, I'm going to go over here to opt-in channels and pass my fields, web form, my lead registration page. So this does make sense. If you're going to make any kind of lead page kind of sequence here, you got to pick your fields first. Then you can either build a web form or skip it. Web form, of course, would usually go on a third-party site. And then you got your lead registration page and then directly to your thank you page. So you've got a couple of different options here. You can just have it stay on the page and have a success message there. Gene kind of addressed that a little bit. I would be more apt to use that on a third-party web page where you've already got a lot of stuff on there and you just want somebody to sign up, but you want them to stay on your web page. So I'd be more apt to use that with a web form instead of one of our thank you pages, yes?
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of places for using this one, and I think we're going to hit it again in the advanced or the troubleshooting topics. Okay. But this is good, for example, if you're using a registration page on Facebook, you can't bounce them off to your own website or to our thank you page. So you'd have to use just the thank you message.
Right. So if you have an actual reason to keep them on the page, that's the option you want to use. You can also use a thank you page that's hosted on your own website.
Yep.
So you could use an instant customer lead page or a web form and then have that redirect wherever you want to.
Yep.
If you have your own website and you prefer to put everything over there, all you really need to do is use this option and put in the URL right there. So HTTP, www, you know, all that stuff, and you can have that. You can have your web form or your lead page redirect anywhere you want. You also have the option to use your a page right here that you create in Instant Customer. So that's what we're going to do right now. I've already made one, so I could either delete it or go launch the Instant Builder. I do not. Do I have a video? I think I mean, which one do you want to do first?
Let's just do the plain one first.
We're just going to do plain one first. So I'll go to the Instant Builder here, and really, I'm just going to go over to my template gallery and show you what you've got there. So you have ones with videos, and you have ones without. You have ones with video, and really, this little box we're going to show you in a little bit is the
let's talk about that one.
Yeah, is a secondary opt-in to get the phone number. This is really what we want to get into in the advanced stuff here. But right now, I'm just going to go pick this template right here. This is, excuse me, something that is going to be addressed in the next version. Right now, if you do change templates, you do lose all your information and start over. That is going to be updated and upgraded there. Of course, you get the regular Latin placeholder text. Of course, you want to replace any of that. If you've never used the Instant Builder before, pretty simple. You just click on whichever section you would like to deal with, and then it'll give you options here at the top. So, you know, pretty simple. We're just going to put maybe just basic thank you page here. You know, have all kind of options there on colors and themes. I could just change my color theme as well to blue if I felt like it. Anything else you want me to do here?
Well, you know, so let's talk for a minute about what kind of message you might put here. You can, if you're having an event, you can put any more details about the event. If you are having an event that requires any kind of pre-study or, you know, materials, you can talk about that here, or you can just simply say, you know, thanks for joining my campaign, and let people know what to expect. I'll be sending you a weekly deal, or I'll be sending you an email or a newsletter once a month, or whatever it happens to be. Set the expectations and do it here.
Totally agree. It's the whole point of the thank you page, keep people engaged, keep them in your process, things like that.
Keep them engaged is an important part.
Yeah, well, that's really what it is. That's what all of this is. Almost none of this, really none of it, should be taken as just something you should just do.
Right.
Everything you have here, every communication attempt is an opportunity to push people, you know, the next through your process a little bit more. Give them more information, give them the handshake, make it meaningful in some way to keep them engaged.
Right. Now, Rick, once you've finished with this basic page, let's show people the difference between that and using a video on the page.
Great. So if I am going to use a video, I definitely need to select one. I'll use the little iPhone video there.
Now the advantage again of using video on the page is that you're keeping people engaged. It also, if you're using a video that has your face on it, lets people connect with you, which is
Totally
really, really important and very overlooked. People don't want to connect with a web page or a building or a book. They want to connect with other people. So if you put pictures of people or a video of yourself, you give people somebody to identify with. If they see what you're doing and they see how you're presenting it, then the thought to the people that are watching are, hey, I can do that too. So same process, you just select a different template,
Yep.
Select your video up front, and then you can customize.
Yeah, same way. The video will not play on the
Really good
on the
point.
builder.
Everybody asks this all the time. How come I can't see my video when I'm editing it? You're not going to be able to see your video until you go back to the live page. This is just preview mode so that you can edit.
Yep, and same thing with tags too. You can't actually use the tags in here, but the same thing applies. Inside the builder, the tag will not show. I'm just going to do it.
Now, yeah, an important note here is now that these people have registered, any information they've given you, you have available to you, so your thank you page can be personalized.
Right. Just keep in mind, well, like with all tags, make sure they're spelled exactly perfectly. Make sure that you've thought through whether or not you're going to have that information or not, or at least what the odds on that are.
Right.
If you're having people text into a campaign with first name and email, right, you can have, probably going to get that every time. If you're using a keyword that's going to take some back and forth and you might not get that, well, take that into account when you're making these. If there was no first name given for this person,
it's just going to say hi with a space.
It's just going to say hi with space. Now, in this case, this is really anyway for they're using a web form in the first place. So you're going to get first name and email. Whether you get anything else, I think, is kind of a coin toss. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to talk about this more in the advanced. Actually, well, I'm
just talking about advanced. Since we were talking about.
So there's your basic thank you page and your basic thank you page with a video, and let's go take a look at where people are going to see these. Rick, if you could just go go to your Go link and complete the form so we can see it show up. So this is
this was the lead page that I just made really quick.
Right, a thank page test.
Thank page test, exactly right. And I did ask. Now this is interesting. I mean, I've got a phone number on here
already. So,
but let's assume that I didn't make it, unless you want.
Well, let's just talk about it now since it's here. What Rick and I are sketching around right now is on his lead page, he's got capturing your cell phone number.
Right.
90% of the people get to a lead page with a cell phone number, and I'm just quoting this out of thin air, so don't take this statistic as
the number
real.
that you want is 70%.
The number is high, 70, 90, it's high. Those people are going to do what's called abandon the page. They're going to leave. They're not going to give you their information because they're not going to want to give you their cell phone number on the first page. Keep that in mind as we get to our advanced topics. I'll explain more later, but you don't need to collect all of the information up front, and the first pass at collecting information, in my opinion, you should do as minimalist as possible. People are fine to give you their email address, they're fine to give you their first name. Anything else is sort of pushing the limit of what you're going to get and how many people are going to sign up. So personally, I would just go name or first name, last name, and email address, and nothing more on the first page.
Yeah, there's really two things that you're trying to consider here. You're usually on your opt-in form, your initial one, come on, you're trying to optimize opt-ins.
Right.
You want to get as many people into the system as you can.
Right.
Whatever information you get after that is bonus. But you don't want to scare people from getting in the first place by asking too much up front, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Exactly. Now, there's one question here. We usually take questions in lumps further out, but there's one question here that we haven't approached, which is a good one, and we're not actually in the builder. So Bridget is asking, can we change the text in the buttons? And we can't actually change the text in the buttons, Bridget, so the sign up now button she's referring to, but we can change buttons, and we do have buttons with other text on it.
Exactly. The buttons are images.
Right.
In the next version, we're going to give you even more control over that, being able to upload your own buttons. Right now, there's got to be like 50 in there.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them in there. And there are some that are not signed up now. There's give me access, let me, and all kinds of
Yeah,
good
there's
stuff.
instant access. There's
Yeah.
a whole bunch of them.
So go
They're
browse
really,
around
actually
through there.
really super nice.
Okay, so that's the basics. So Rick, go ahead and sign up. Click the sign up now button so we can see what you did. So we can see the thank you page. And there we go.
So here's my thank you page.
And notice it says hi Rick because we did collect Rick's name.
And that's playing the video
And
that I
there's
put
the
in
video.
there. So it did capture, it did use the tag. It worked perfectly there.
Perfect.
And there you go. So I don't know when you want to talk about some of the things about what actually other things that we're putting on here and why.
Well, other things we're putting on here?
Yeah, like we talked about, keeping your people engaged. This can be
advanced topics. Hold on.
we're gonna just do those in
Yeah,
advance.
throw that control back to me. Never mind. I'm
Okay.
going to take control back
Ooh, okay.
because I can do that.
I don't have a problem with that.
All right, so here we are back at our presentation. And
So I still got
oops,
nothing.
so it's going there, it's going there, it's going there. And
There we go, I got it.
there we go. And moving on to more advanced topics. I'm sorry, I'm going to go back 1 second. One question that did come up for basics, which is why would we want to have, somebody's saying I'm whipping you again. Why would we want to have the page hosted on Instant Customer versus a page hosted on their own website? And the answer to that is really simple. Some bigger companies have thank you pages already that they want to use on their website. So rather than show the Instant Customer version of that, they prefer to use their own language, their own whatever. You just use that page instead.
Yeah, I think it all depends on branding. It depends on what your.
Depends on where your registration is being hosted.
It really
too.
does.
If you want it to look like an Instant Customer link versus mycompany.com link, it's going to determine where you
Yeah,
go.
like I said, it depends on the branding. It depends on what you're using it. If you're using it for a web form that's embedded in your site versus an Instant Customer lead page. I think most of the time, if somebody has their own site built out, you want to use it as much as possible. Some of these questions right here are perfect. If you have a site that's in French, then yes, you want to redirect it to your French site. There's no reason to do it.
I was just about to say something about that. I called her Bridget. Clearly, it's Brigitte. And Brigitte wanted to know not just about changing the text on the buttons, but putting it into another language.
Sure.
Right now, those buttons are images, and our images are only in English. But if you
That's
had the
right.
page hosted elsewhere and just used the fields that you wanted for registration, you can do it in any language you want.
Yeah, we're just talking about a thank you page. Obviously, if you have it on a third party, those tags are not going to work anymore. But you're going to have all your branding. You're going to have access to whatever kind of code you want.
Right.
You'll have any Unicode character you want, any language, any images. If you need full control over it, that's the way to go.
Yeah, and one other caveat, and that is in the web world, most people understand if you have a registration looking form that the button underneath it is going to be to register, no matter what the language is. And I say that only because I've signed up on some pages that were not in English, and I just understood that button, it's not ideal.
Yeah.
But right now, I understood that button when I was looking at the forum page I was looking at was clearly a register me or a sign me up or something.
Yeah, I do.
It didn't ask for my firstborn.
I'd do that in a pinch if you had an event that you needed to get up and running fast, and it was, speed is important sometimes. Sometimes it's of the utmost importance. If you need just to get something up and running and going and working, this is the way to go. If you've got a little more time to build something out, or if you've got other things in place, take advantage of them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now we'll move on to our advanced topics. So our advanced concepts are delivery, upsell, and engagement. Back this up and just talk about delivery here for a minute. Here's some concepts that you may not have considered just yet, and that is your thank you page can be used for more than just thanking people. Your thank you page can be used to deliver material. If you have a PDF file that you want somebody to get, if you have a video that you want them to see and you want to have instant access to it, you can pop it right here in your thank you page. So I'm going to show a quick example, and then Rick, if you want, you can show us how to build it. I'm going to pause my screen here for a sec while I get that example up. And I'm going to show you first an example of including a PDF file. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I do think that's important to think about your thank you page as more than just the handshake thank you. There's no reason not to deliver, well, yeah, there really is no reason not to deliver the PDF there just in a link if you want to. It's really no different than sending it through the email. Having a training video or a short tips video, something like that, just sign up to get my video and then just to give it to them is really nice. It doesn't mean you can't still send it via the link as well on an email or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you guys should be seeing on the screen right now should be, tell me, Rick, if you're seeing this, just a little...
Yeah, I see a Victoria Drive.
Yeah, Victoria Drive. So this was a little open house announcement that was going to play a video. I don't have
this is a really good example. I'm glad you're doing this.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that I've got this one set. But let me register for this page. You see all I'm asking for is name and email. And then when I click, so I'm not sure this is the right page. I might have to switch to a different account.
Right, so let's just go over, the theory of this is what we're talking about here.
Right.
So you have on the front page, you've got what, sort of just a video that would be just an outside view of the property, nothing fancy.
Yeah, actually it was better than that. It was a little video from the realtor talking about what makes his business different.
Oh, great. So,
yeah.
So that was really, okay, so what you're doing there is engaging directly with the realtor.
Absolutely. Because he's a nice guy, friendly guy, he wants to, showcase kind of the highlights of the business. So that was what was going on here. And I do believe that he mentions the property and that there's going to be an open house. And then there's, some bullet points and blah, blah, blah. So you register to take a virtual tour of this property right now before the open house. So if I click sign up, my thank you page went to a video thank you page. And the video that loaded, like I said, I'm in a different account here, so it's not going to show. But what would happen in this space here was the video,
the virtual tour right there, right,
of the home. So immediately on clicking the button, and we switched around. I'm showing this from my demo account, not from his account.
That's okay. Don't worry about it.
When what happened here is when we had somebody register and it switched to this page, you immediately got that video, and that button that we talked about back on page 1, instead of saying sign me up, it said instant access, get
right.
Instant access. So the feeling when people were subscribing was, let me see that immediately. I want to see that now. Not, oh my God, I have to go check my email and wait for a link to arrive and blah, blah, blah,
right.
blah, which is the way most real estate firms are handling things, right? You sign up
so.
on their website, you have to go to your email, get a link, and then you can go back and see. We eliminated all of that. The other thing that we did here is on this page below the video, we then solicited the cell phone number. And we did it in a way that said, if you'd like to schedule a private showing,
nice,
give us your number and we'll call you.
Beautiful. So let's just walk through the whole thing right there. So they're developing some trust and rapport by a video on the lead page with the realtor itself.
Absolutely.
And just real quick, how did they come to this page in the first place?
So this was even more fun. Most open houses are really not to sell the house. Most open houses are attended by people in the neighborhood. And they're
Oh, really?
Yeah. And they're going to watch this open house because they want to see a couple of things. What's the house priced at?
Right.
What does it look like on the inside?
Right.
And they're doing it because they're contemplating either a buy or sell of their own.
Interesting.
So what we did was they printed up some flyers and they went around the neighborhood and they put them on their neighbors' doorsteps.
Oh, wow, I see where they're going with this.
Yeah.
They're building a list of everybody else in that area that they're a potential client.
That's right.
So this is really this is really smart. It really is. It's really building a list for future work in that area.
Bingo.
above and beyond trying to sell the house itself.
Bingo.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I like that. So you're getting them into the page, you're building some trust and rapport, you're giving them, you're basically saying there's going to be an open house, sign up for it.
Right.
And as a little bonus, here's a virtual tour.
Well, actually, you know what? They did 2 campaigns. The first one was, hey, there's an open house in your neighborhood this weekend.
Right.
And they passed these flyers out the day before. So, hey, there's an open house in your neighborhood this weekend. If you want a sneak peek before the open house, go here. And they gave them a QR code and a way to get directly to the Go page. They gave the Go link. They gave a phone number so people could call in and ask about it. But the phone number was to a recorded listing of the property. So they collected leads in a bunch of different ways. And the interesting thing was a good number of people in the neighborhood went and took the tour and watched the whole thing and even came back. So and left their cell number. So there's definitely people in the neighborhood who are thinking about buying or selling.
Right.
So they definitely collected things. Their second campaign was targeted at actual buyers. And what it offered them, and this one I believe they ran at their office. Maybe
I would
put
say,
signs
I was
in
going
their
to say
office
signs in the office,
and in print
on their
around town.
website,
Yep.
in print,
Yes.
in other
and
flyers
that one
magazines
offered
and stuff.
people a buyer's guide.
Great.
So people,
I get it. So
yeah.
like the basic.
That's right. So instead,
Customer,
that's right. They could get
awareness type of
they could get a sneak preview, and if they attended the open house, they would be handed a printed buyer's guide.
Right. So and that's great too, which is really good at developing trust. You're telling people right up front all of the little tricks to look out for that you're not going to do there. So
correct.
Love that. And then the important thing here is so now they're trying to get the cell phone, and what they're doing here is what's in it for me. If I'm going to give you my cell phone number, what's in it for me?
Yeah, well, for here,
this is how it gets
schedule a private showing.
Private showing.
That's right.
Which is nice because they don't, in general, they don't like to do private showings. That's something that really shows a level of commitment on both sides.
Now on this property, it was it's not a median low entry property. This is they work in an exclusive neighborhood, and so exclusive showings are rather common in their area. They're dealing with multi-million-dollar homes.
Okay.
And yeah, this was just another way to get people interested and find out who in the neighborhood might be contemplating some changes.
And if they do it, great. If they don't do it, in general with our campaigns, for the last year, for me doing this, where we've done this on the second page, we've got about 30%. About 30% of the people.
You do get a pretty high acceptance when you put it on the second page. And you can put other fields here too if you wanted. I mean, you could really trick out this second page and ask all kinds of information. But remember, the more you ask, the less likely people are going to give it to you. So.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think this is the way to go. You get name and email up front. You go to a second page where you give them a reason.
A reason for giving the number.
For giving the phone number. Now, in a lot of ours, we've got 2 coming up this week. We've got the Mojo live event, and we've got the Proofcast event on Friday.
Yeah.
And in both of those cases, this is exactly what we did. We got the name and email on the first, and the second page that's how you register for the giveaways.
Absolutely. Registering for giveaways is another awesome way to do it. Right.
The point there is give them a reason.
Yep.
Give them something.
So that's a way to do delivery. Now, this concept also works with upsell. You could have somebody sign up for something that talk about this a little bit because you've done a lot of upsells in your previous work.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's a perfect way to say, hey, thank you for your interest. If you act now, and we're talking, this system of bringing prospects through to buyers is all about action-taking points, taking advantage of your buy opportunities. So this is a perfect time to say, hey, thanks for getting involved. I'm emailing you your link to, the report or whatever. But if you act now, and you can put another link on here straight to your cart page. If you act now, I'm going to give you $100 off whatever your thing is, or you're going to get a bonus. You'll get an extra thing if you buy now, and whatever link you can put in here can be to a separate one on your shopping cart page that is only has to do with those things. So.
Right.
Taking advantage of your warm and your hot leads is huge. I mean, this is a place where you could if you don't do it, you might be blowing a sale here. You've got somebody interested. Are they and this is a good way to find out. Are they interested enough now to, take the plunge?
Yeah.
If you give them an incentive here. So,
right.
Pairing a buy opportunity with an incentive, with some scarcity, with a
Dude,
time
I think
thing.
that's
this
an
has got
awesome thing to do. Yeah, you could invite them to a webinar, and then on the thank you page, give them a discount for buying a product before the webinar even starts.
The discount or a bonus or both,
or bonus,
something like that.
Exactly.
Bonuses, anything
Absolutely.
like that.
Right.
I think that that thank you page can really be an opportunity. I don't think you want to hit people over the head with it there.
Nope.
But I do think that it's a great way to
upsell.
Yeah, it's a great way to upsell. It's a great way to get them straight into the system.
So the other thing you can use thank you pages for, advanced concepts, are engagement. And that's really where the video, I think, comes in. You could put all kinds of things on your video that they don't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be high production video.
It really doesn't. It's amazing how it absolutely does not. You just have to know what you're doing, and you can't look like you can't bumble through it. But
yeah, don't bumble, but be yourself. It's okay to make occasional little slip-ups because that shows your humanity.
I totally
agree. People
like
knowing.
And I think that's something you need to run by some friends or some consultants just to make sure it's not coming out the wrong way.
Yeah.
You can, if you stumble on making a video, that doesn't mean you don't know how to sell houses.
Yeah, that's true. But I'll tell you, the realtor who I worked with on this, his video was awesome. He just sat in the conference room and, just said, hey, this is who I am and this is what I do. What you're looking at here is some of the advanced techniques that I use for my clients. I go out of my way to help you find or sell your home. And just that little piece right there.
But if he said it the way that you're bringing it across, that's why it worked.
Yeah. He did. He said it like he was sitting across the table from you.
Well, he was just saying it. He was just saying what he knew. He was just showing his expertise. I saw some video the other day that was clearly from somebody. The first thing I saw, I said, "Why is this person doing his own video?" Which is what I'm saying. I think you need to vet it at least a little bit to see if it's coming across the way you want to.
A little bit, yeah.
But it does not have to be overproduced.
No.
Absolutely. In fact, I think that is a turnoff a lot of times.
It is for me, but I think maybe I'm a bit more critical.
Well, it depends on what it is, of course. It depends on what you're... And again, I think that goes to engagement and expectations. If you've set an expectation on video one that you're if you have produced professional video, and then your thank you video looks like you did it in your garage by yourself. The one I always laugh at is if you see the person, the video starts and then the person walks around and then goes in front. I think you would kind of avoid that kind of thing that makes it look like you just turned it on and then walked in and didn't know how to edit it.
That's true.
I don't think that's what you're looking for.
No.
But engagement is, and even the upsell is an engagement. The delivery there is an engagement.
Absolutely.
I think engagement is the word there. Engagement and opportunity.
Absolutely agree.
I think that's what the thank you page is.
So let's venture forth to a little bit of troubleshooting, shall we? My method of troubleshooting is always grab that hammer and slam it a few times. Eventually it fits.
Is that guy smoking a cigar?
That's his nose. All right, so I have the first one up here, using other sites. The reason I have this is because I've seen a number of people, again, try to use either an instant customer hosted thank you page or a thank you page hosted on their own website, and then they can't get there and they don't see it and they kind of freak out and they wonder why. And that's because depending on where you're using it, you might not have the ability to jump out of that environment.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Absolutely, like Facebook.
Like Facebook.
Great. It's always been
You can't jump out of the environment in all cases, so you have to know and be aware of and select the appropriate thank you page. It may not be a whole page. It may just be the thank you message, which is what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, I agree. I know there was an issue like last year when Facebook, I don't know why they're obsessed with changing everything every 5 days, but where it would only open in a new window, and a lot of people hated that.
Right.
So you wouldn't want to do it in that case. You just want to keep on the page and let them do it.
Right, and there are some websites, if you're working with somebody that has an established website, there are some websites, again, that they're not going to want you to leave that page.
Exactly.
Because their registration form might be just a small section of the page, so it's cool to throw out the thank you message and not leave the entire page, because they're working within frames, basically.
Right.
And that's getting way too technical. All right, so the other thing is you need to have some considerations for your users. And what I mean by this is if you have users who are going to be registering largely by cell phone, chill out on the whole jumping around to all these different pages, because they're on a cell phone. Cell phones are small, tougher to manipulate, and I would say a message may be a better option there, or a thank you page without a video may be a better option there, depending on your users.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you do want to take into account the cross-channel nature of what we're doing.
Yeah.
You don't want to have everything only on a thank you page if you're also, and why wouldn't you be, allowing opt-in via text or via phone call? Then that's why you want to double up on. Yeah, it really is.
Important note.
Yeah, you've got to. I mean, you really have to be sending this stuff through email as well. Email should be really your main point of contact, because everybody's going to get that.
So going back to the real estate demo for a minute,
Okay.
that I just showed. It was a very strong consideration because they were handing out flyers telling people how to get in, right? Well, if I have them opting in with a method that's using a web page, I have to consider that, right? I can't be sending out a text message if I maybe don't have their cell phone number. Maybe they got to the video and they just don't want to leave their cell number. So we changed up the campaign in a lot of ways, and we took out the opt-in by cell phone number, because we didn't want them opting in with their cell number. We only wanted their cell number after they watched the video if they wanted a private showing.
All right, so really, but you guys were using the cell phone number as like a hot lead.
Totally using it as a hot lead technique.
So that if you didn't have the cell phone number, that kind of registered one level of interest to you guys.
Absolutely.
And as soon as you got it, then that registered a completely different
And we
level.
used this specifically like that, Rick.
Yeah.
So if somebody opted in and then gave us their cell number, it sent a text message to the realtor. This is a hot lead.
Exactly.
Because this person opted in and then got to the thank you page, probably watched the video, and gave you their phone number. Call that person right now.
Yeah, that's fantastic use of the system. And really, it really shows that it works both ways. Not only are you moving your prospects through, but to identify where their interest is, but you're keeping track of that.
Yeah.
So that you can have people step in. I mean, I often say, basically what you're trying to do is reverse engineer your sales process, automate what can be automated, but put those points in where it can't be automated, where you don't want it automated, where you want somebody to step in. On a high-end home, when you have a hot lead signal as opposed to a cold or a warm lead, you want somebody getting on the phone and calling them while that's hot.
And imagine how many of those people were really surprised to enter their phone number and within a few minutes get a phone call.
Yeah, get a phone call. Yep. Definitely different strategies for your price points. There's different budgets there that allow you to step in or not.
It comes down to what I say all the time: is know who you're after, know who
totally.
your user is, and then know what level of service they're expecting. And if you're selling a high value home, if you're selling a home that's over a couple $1 million, you want a personal touch.
I totally agree.
You want someone on that phone responsive to you. You have a different mentality and different expectations.
Well, the clients do. The clients don't have an expectation of being put through an automatic grinder there.
Right. And even though we did put it through an automatic grinder, what we did was we knew when to step in.
Well, yeah,
and
that's what I mean.
personalize.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say they're not going to want that through the whole process. They're not going to buy a house if they never talk to anybody. That's borderline ridiculous.
That'd be crazy.
That would be more than borderline.
All right, so my last point for troubleshooting, I only had two. So consider your site or wherever your stuff is hosted, and then consider your users. Do you have anything more to add, Rick, or on advanced topics? Do you have any more questions from anybody on some of these topics or points that we're bringing up?
No, I don't think not directly to that. There's some other ones that...
Yeah, if it's not on topic, we're not going to answer.
Yeah,
right
in
now.
general, if it's not on topic, we'll try to save this or go ahead and submit a support ticket for those.
Is anybody currently using their thank you pages for delivery or upsell? If you are, can you put that in the chat box? I'd love to hear from everybody and know what's going on, who's using what.
I think the only other troubleshooting and consideration that I've seen is using the CNAMEs. You just have to be so careful when you're doing that, whether you're using a subdomain or a regular domain. Having your @ records done right, and just keep in mind if you are using the CNAME, we have support for it in here, but that is something that you really have to deal with your web host and the DNS manager that you would use in there to make sure that gets set up right. There are just so many of them, we can't know them all. We do have a little tutorial in there, but if you are using some sort of CNAME and you're having trouble with the thank you page, just make absolutely sure you've checked with your host that all of your DNS manager settings are correct for that.
Right. And since that's off topic, I'm going to jump to a question I see here. Stuart was asking if it's possible to make a video lead capture page appear as flying or pop up over the client's existing web pages. Stuart, I'm sure that's possible. You're going to have to talk to your web developer.
Yeah, that would be something that would have to be.
And you can do it, but talk to your.
I would say,
talk to a developer.
In general, I would say no. The answer to that's no. The way to do that is through a third-party app. There's like the opt-in bar or.
Well, yeah, there are a lot of other. I'm thinking on a WordPress page, there are a lot of pop-up themes that you can.
Yeah, you would have to do that, and then just
embed the.
You have to use our source code. Yeah.
Right.
So that would be something you submit a support ticket for.
Just talk to your developer.
No, but after you decide which one you're using.
Right.
So you can, if you need help getting the code or something like that. But yeah, just straight up, that's.
All right. Well, if there are no more questions on using thank you pages, I'm going to say thank you for hanging on with us for a little bit here. Let's get to some of our other stuff here. My most important tip of the day, always, Rick, you know what this is. What is it?
Yeah, you really do need to test everything. So set it up, join the campaign, see all the messages, make sure everything's going right, have a friend go through it because a fresh set of eyes is always helpful.
Thing.
For grammar, for misspellings, for misuse of tags, things like that, anything that doesn't seem right.
Right. Test, and then retest.
Yeah, and really, even as you're going through it, what you said I thought might have been the most important thing we said here, which was you set the campaign up a certain way, you watched the way people were coming into it, and then you made changes based on that.
Mm-hmm.
The whole set it and forget it thing. There's definitely.
Set it, test it, and forget it is really what we mean.
Well, I think you really do need to keep coming back to. There's nothing. I always say that all marketing is test marketing,
yep.
And you should always be tweaking something here, something there to see what's working. You should always be getting as much feedback from the users as you can to see if anything would be done better. Yours was a perfect example of that. You made some changes that made a big difference.
Yep.
I think that just goes into your expertise and. Man, that's stuff that you may not use in this campaign, but you may use on another one. And to go right all the way back to your hero of the week, that's the kind of stuff that comes up in a conversation where you're just talking with somebody, you say, well, I tried that, it didn't work, and they all of a sudden go, this person knows what they're talking about. They're doing it, not just talking about it.
Well, that's always my big thing, is that the best information about building a campaign is going to come from your casual conversations with your customer. The best piece of advice, I didn't know, I'm not a realtor, I didn't know that most of the people coming to an open house are just there to look around. I figured they were all there to buy, but apparently not.
But once you had that information, it changed the way you thought about your campaign.
Absolutely. So conversations are really important.
Made a more effective campaign, got them the results they were looking for.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's what you're talking about.
All right, what else do we have here? Summary. Use a thank you page, if only to let people know that their registration information had been received. Collect minimal info up front. You'll get a higher opt-in rate. Put all that stuff on the back end if you need it. And keep it simple. So that's my big thing. Keep it simple. Rick, why don't you tell us this?
And this is a perfect one because this formula never changes. Great campaigns engage people, use that word, love that word, live that word, keeps them wanting more. Keep them, in the system, bringing them forward with buy opportunities, with engagement, all of that until they
either leave or buy.
You get them in the boat.
Right. They're either in the boat or they're out. It doesn't matter if they want to jump out, let them jump.
You want effective campaigns. A big list where nobody's doing anything is worthless.
Worthless, absolutely.
A smaller list where people are buying stuff.
Absolutely, every day of the week. We got some special offers for people. Today we have a new one. Uh-oh. I think I forgot to put it in.
Well, the first one is the You Everywhere Now Proofcast.
Yeah, guess what?
What? You don't have a link for it?
I'm pretty certain I forgot the link. I did.
I'll tell you what. I will email the list with a link to, to the Proofcast.
We have a special link for the Proofcast, which is an event happening this Friday.
Live event. Virtual event.
This Friday, and I put it on there, and then something happened on my computer, and I had to redo it.
No more excuses. I will send that link out to everybody. This is something that's really cool. It is basically a live current hero type of broadcast. Who we got on there?
There's some really interesting people on there.
We'll put it in an email out to everybody. But that is specifically for this Friday, the 16th.
It is this Friday. Do you know what time it is either?
That is, I want to say that's at 11 as well.
Okay. And don't forget, we also have, if you're on the line, we also have Mojo webinar live virtual events.
Yeah, if you're a CrossChannel Mojo user,
a
a virtual live event number 2 is tomorrow at 11 a.m. We've had
check your user portal for the links and all that. You need to sign up. But it's going to have some really awesome things on there too.
Great keynote speaker.
Yep, and some giveaways, and also recaps of the last 3 classes.
Yeah, this could go on. The 7-second hook, that the elevator speech is dead, and now you're looking for a 7-second hook.
Well, how long was your elevator speech? There's
like
San Diego.
seconds.
I was going to say San
like
Diego only has a
seconds.
couple of floors and all those. Yeah, all right. So
but it's less than that even,
right.
From what her research is showing. So that's actually going to be.
Apparently.
I'm actually looking forward to that.
I actually do have the special offers slide, which is the typical.
Typical, but great, because like we were just talking about the CrossChannel Mojo live event that's tomorrow. That's going through modules 4, 5, and 6, of which Jean did module 5 on. What was that on, Jean?
Email.
Yeah, voicemails. There's also interactive text. So basically, CrossChannel Mojo is a comprehensive mentoring and training program that uses the most successful campaigns from actual users of Instant Customer over the last year. So if you are, looking for real-life examples, templates, material, and Q&A, live Q&A from people that have actually done it, boy, that is easily. If you don't get your money back on that just by 1 or 2 of those modules, you're just crazy. So that's at www.crosschannelmojo.com/web. Again, the virtual live event for that is tomorrow. If you are having trouble getting eyeballs to your site, Traffic Geyser is our sister company, and that generates traffic via video, blog, article marketing. You can get a free 21-day trial of that by going to trafficgeyser.com/21days/web. If you're looking for a integrated package of lead generation, lead capture, and follow-up, you've got a combination of Traffic Geyser and Instant Customer in what we call Main Street Marketing Machines 2.0 Fusion. That you can get you can find out more about that at www.mainstreetmarketingmachines.com/web. If you're looking for a comprehensive solution to your lead generation, capture, and follow-up, I highly, highly recommend that you check that site out immediately.
Awesome. Next week, we're going to talk about the Receipt Scraper campaign.
Yeah, so if you know anybody that sells anything online, whether on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, Borders, things like that, we actually have a really tricky little tool in Instant Customer where you can have people forward their receipt to your campaign, and the system will actually check that for like a
make sure they bought something.
Little code word to make sure that it's real, and then put them in a special campaign where you can deliver bonuses. This is the other thing we were talking about, engagement and upsell opportunities here. So instead of people just going to buy the book and then you don't even know who buys it, man, now you can get those people with some sort of bonus into a campaign so you know who your buyers are. That usually the book sale is just the first level of what you can, the kind of help you can do for somebody. This is a really good way to identify them, get them in a pipeline, and give them a opportunities to upgrade to more of your services.
Yeah, or more books. If you're an author.
More books doesn't hurt.
Yep.
But this, and we'll talk a little bit about front end and back end. Obviously, the book is a front end sale. Now we're getting to more back end sales, which are usually higher ticket items. If you're leaving that money on the table, it's a big mistake.
Right. So next week will be real fun. We'll do the receipt scraper campaigns, talk about how to use and implement it, and give you some secret behind the table tips and things for working it.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of people actually use that. That's going to be a fun one.
Yep. So thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.